the parts of our budget that are kind of essential to try to get back to what we have right now and cover some of the things that we added this year, some paraprofessional time, some additional monies in terms of a teacher that we were paying out of school choice, the step and lanes from negotiated contracts, salary increases for ASME. All those things would be, part of that, what I'm calling level service. At the same time, I presented some areas where we would like to see additional funding. And finally, a list of possibilities, things that could be added or cut from the budget in order to fund those additional areas. We've had several discussions with the town. Last night we were at the budget subcommittee meeting that includes 2 committee members, 2 selectmen, 2 FinCom members, the town administrator, myself, the town accountant, and just looking at how tight the budget is this year. There doesn't seem to be a lot of money even after you account for increased levy limits. That may be why. Increased levy limits or increased growth in the town. The receipts, for the town have been estimated and accounted for, so there's not a lot of money to go around. They also have a big hole in terms of the snow and ice, and we're stuck. We have needs if we want to see any kind of improvement. I still say we have a liability in terms of contracts yet to be negotiated. We do have areas of improvement that we need to address, including the, I'm going to pull down to that. So basically, the budget would start off at $14,960,085. It's a little bit off balance here by about $20,000. These are the areas that I'm saying we should, whether this year or in years to come, address. And the parts that I'm pointing out that I believe are most crucial is this area here where you have the accreditation studies, because they will allow us to access additional funding in the future. I'm also going to put this one as one of the areas that I would like to see pushed forward, which is looking at the language-based learning approach in classrooms. We have it now at the higher end of the middle school and at 9th grade at the high school. As the high school students move forward into 10th grade, that program and an approach should follow, but you can't do that without at least one additional staff, or maybe staff that can be shared between the middle school and the high school. The middle school, we're still debating whether the best place to introduce this approach is 6th grade or 5th grade. So again, it may help a little bit with reducing class sizes, but I'm more interested in the better approach to addressing some of the needs of students in those grade levels, and perhaps keeping it at the level of the classroom rather than having to take students out to go to more restrictive environments in special education. So those are the areas that I'm thinking probably about would require about $250,000 more than the $14,960 that you see up there. Amounts to about a 1.7% increase one year to the next in the school's budget. And the question is, where would it come from? At this point, as you know, we talked a little bit about cuts. Most people that spoke about the budget and the proposals at the hearing last week mentioned that they didn't like the idea of the cuts, that we've put out there as possibles. So I'm going to suggest we don't go with the cuts. I'm going to suggest we look instead at adding revenue. And again, that's going to affect some people more than others, especially people who participate. And what I'm thinking is, if you look up there, you have transportation. You could gain at least 100,000 somewhere in there. You could increase pre-K. You could increase lunch, sports, activities. At this point, I'm not ready to deal with the CFC piece. That may be something we do through the course of the year or maybe through the spring. But those other areas, those other increases, unless we can find some more money, not find, but unless the town were to allocate more money from levy increases or growth to the schools, then these would be the places where I would suggest we take money to balance our own budget and still come in with a budget balanced to the school committee to present to FinCom and eventually the town at town meeting. I did meet with the administrators, however, I took their advice, but these are my recommendations, so I'm not going to put them under the gun. This is what my suggestions are. However, school committee, the budget is your puppy. So if you want to direct something different from what I've suggested, I'd be all ears.
Dr. Colley, so you're now adjusting the 277,000 we need instead of the 5. Is that correct? How much more do you need from that 14.9? Was it 2.7?
I figured it 250, which is very similar to the amount of money we lost in terms of our funding.
And that's including the 1% that for increases, correct?
Well,
Salary
it's about
increases.
100,000, whether it turns out to be 1% or not. That's a whole different story.
Okay.
So this 1.7% increase is based on?
Last year's budget, moving it up 250,000 into this year.
Which is including all that?
Including all
And
that.
then?
Now, obviously, it doesn't include anything in terms of textbooks, materials for instruction, professional development, curriculum, work. If we can find over the course of the year any other place where we can save some money, we can shift it to those areas. And if they happen, bring it back to the school committee to decide where you want to put it. The other question is, whether this is based on the current status of SPED. If we have more SPED costs between now and the end of the year or into next year, obviously we'll have to adjust.
Could you, just so I can be clear, can you just say exactly where the extra 250 is going to go? I have 38 for the NEASC and the NAEYC study.
Mm-hmm.
I have 80 for the class size reduction and the language-based learning.
100,000 for salary.
And 100,000 for that.
And 20,000 to balance the top part of the budget.
Okay.
So that's about 140. And you can take the other 10 and hopefully get some
40
textbooks.
Okay. So that's about 240.